Hi everybody, welcome to Heel Heat. This is our WWE show for the week. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner, Thrasher.
Thanks, Mosh. Gary Rhodes, everybody.
And the first thing we're going to touch on, we're going to gently touch on the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view as we go through this, because there was so much that happened on Monday Night Raw that we're going to have to cover that whole thing at length. The first thing we had was John Cena coming out doing his blah 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 crap.
You can't see me.
Followed by CM Punk setting up a match for the #1 contendership next week between CM Punk and Jonathan Cena.
I'm looking forward to the match. I mean, we all probably much know the outcome is going to happen, but
I think it's filler until, because I'm pretty sure The Rock's not on next week's show, so I think it's filler to give us something to not remember that the world champion's not there.
That plus Taker still hasn't made his decision if he's going to return for Mania yet.
I don't think he's coming back.
So I think it'll be a great build-up for a triple threat.
But I did have a good idea for Taker.
What was that?
Well, there has to be a reason why he's not at WrestleMania, right? Let's say he comes out, he says, I want to challenge. Mic goes off, lights go off, Taker's laid out, and you see the Shield leaving through the crowd.
Awesome.
Just saying.
Good build them up. You're making those guys instant superstars. I like
Vince,
that.
if you're watching this, you know, I could be a writer. I'd work for half price. Just saying. A guy that should be paid half price, Sin Cara, was up next against the returning monster Mark Henry.
Sin Cara's costume looked like a freaking watermelon. It was terrible. And Mark Henry did the best impersonation of Gallagher ever.
Squished the watermelon.
He damn sure did. It was a great squish match.
Somebody's gonna get their ass kicked.
Somebody got their wig split, and then which brings up the Great Khali,
who should have got his ass kicked.
Yeah, I know you were disappointed that Henry didn't stay in and destroy him.
Well, it's not his character to back away.
But he's trying to show a little bit more to it.
That's not what he do.
Sorry, but he's showing a little bit more.
This is what I do.
I'll tell you one thing about him at the Elimination Chamber was when Swagger and Jericho did that double suplex to him. I mean, I've never seen that dude bounce. I mean, on that steel. I was really wondering if he was going to show up tonight.
That's what he do.
That's what he do.
It was a decent match. I was disappointed that he backed away from Khali. He should have destroyed Khali. I don't dance.
Sucker.
Anyway. Which leads us into our next match that I was also disappointed in, The Miz versus Antonio Cesaro. We had The Miz, who's playing storyline injured shoulder, got a clean win over Antonio Cesaro. They're pushing Miz, even though his character's failing miserably.
Well, we got 3 weeks until the movie comes out. I say 3 weeks after that while they're pushing the Miz. I say 6 more weeks of face Miz. Then he'll turn back to heel mid-card Miz.
I dislike that he beat Cesaro cleanly. To me, it seemed like the wrong person went over. It's not the guy that's getting over in the won.
At least it wasn't for the belt. That's what I can say.
Now, the next match could have ended up being for the belt. Dolph Ziggler versus Alberto Del Rio.
I liked the match.
I thought it was a really good match, and then I liked at the end, after Del Rio wins, and Del Rio's out, Big E attacked him, that Ziggler is going to cash in the thing, but Rodriguez steals it before he can and runs away with it.
I loved it, man.
I thought it was a nice comedy spot.
Well, they're really building up for the Swagger Del Rio match, so they don't want to have nothing change with it, but they're going to give you the illusion of Ziggler's going to cash in, I think, until Mania.
There you go. Now, another thing that I think they're trying to set up for Mania, they had Wade Barrett coming out talking about the new movie he's going to be in. I forget the name of the movie, but Sheamus came on the screen and pretty much talked him down, which I didn't understand because these guys aren't feuding with each other, so it made no sense for Sheamus to talk him down unless they're going to start a feud, which...
Well, you know, Sheamus had a match with Jericho.
Well, that's later on.
Well, I'm just saying, so why would you, against the Shield, why would you start talking shit to somebody else? I don't get it.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get at here. Same thing, just different argument, same wording. The next thing we had was the Clones and their manager Rosa against Brodus and Tensai with Naomi. Now
Sweet tea.
Sweet tea. B&T.
I like the tag team of them. Like you were saying, kind of reminds you of the old natural disasters back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, the Colossal Connection. For a long time, they've always put giant guys together and made them an unstoppable force. I think it's doing wonders for Tensai, who was floundering. Matt Bloom, who's been Albert, Tensai, A-Train, and a couple different other incarnations, is actually a really good worker. Just for whatever reason, the Tensai character wasn't getting over. And I think this is breathing new life into him. I also think it's helping with Brodus, because Brodus was starting to die out and people didn't stop caring about his character.
Exactly. And it gets Brodus away from Santino, because they were, tagging up here and there, and they were also having him tag with Zack Ryder. I like him and Tensai way better.
Yeah.
I like their finisher, the double squash. I don't know what they're going to call it. But I like before...
It's called Somebody Call My Mama.
Well, I like before they hit it that Tensai yells out, "Somebody call his mama!" And then they just destroyed one of the colognes.
Exactly. Now the next thing we have, speaking of the colognes, we have the State of the Union address with Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter. Well, one of them got to be here illegally.
They're from Puerto Rico.
I don't think it makes a difference.
Oh, God.
But anyway, they came out, they did their quasi-racist, anti-immigration thing, talking about how great America is. Basically, Swagger is the hand-picked foil for Alberto Del Rio, which is kind of like what they used to do with Hulk Hogan. They'd have anti-Americans come out, and Hulk Hogan would kill them.
It's just the reverse Hogan.
Basically.
I like the idea of it. I like the fact that Zeb Coulter's with him. Zeb Coulter is the mouthpiece that Swagger has always needed.
He's kind of like Heyman for Brock Lesnar.
Exactly. Swagger's biggest problem was his talking. It wasn't that he was a bad talker. It's just he had that high-pitched lisp that really turns him from a monster into a joke.
Crit skin.
Exactly. I'm really high on this character right now, I'll tell you that.
I'm going to win the championship.
Alright, are you done there? Dusty Rhodes?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. It was followed by a tremendous match between Daniel Bryan and Jack Swagger, which I think anytime you put these two in a ring, it's bound to do good all around, in my opinion.
Two of the best of the business right now.
At least ring-wise, and Swagger got a clean win, which he should. Bryan doesn't need a win. He's going to stay over. The guy's immensely over. But I thought it was a good match. I liked how it worked. I liked what they did with it. I'd like to see, after WrestleMania, Swagger and Bryan have a little bit of feud, because we know Bryan's feud for WrestleMania is going to be Kane, and we know Swagger's is going to be Alberto.
I agree with you. I think these two would work great against each other.
Now, WrestleMania, that's the biggest pay-per-view of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Which reminds me of our question of the week last week, which was, what did you think about the hype for the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view? Right. Now, we have an answer from
mayonnaise jar.
One of our friends. Before we go on ours, our friend Paul from over at the Deadly Sins, real good friend of ours. If it wasn't for Rock Punk 2, I wouldn't even know there was an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. There's only one chamber match, kind of like the last Hell in a Cell pay-per-view when they only had one Hell in a Cell. I agree with him. Other than the Punk Rock match, they didn't hype up anything, and I don't think they even hyped up the Punk versus Rock properly.
No. And the thing is, the two Punk Rock matches that have happened were 10 times better than the one Cena Rock match. 10 times better. They could have a better buy rate. Fans are hot on Punk right now, and I think WWE is really missing out. There's nothing as far as any advertisement hardly for this pay-per-view, and it was really a shame. And they could have had two of the Elimination Chamber matches. One wasn't bad. It's just it should have main evented it.
Yeah, or it should have been at least a semi-main.
Exactly.
Instead of halfway through the card. Oh no, I think they missed the boat on hyping that pay-per-view. I think they're too much in WrestleMania mode that they kind of just threw out a pay-per-view and put the card together as it came. Now, speaking of two guys that impressed at that pay-per-view, our question of the week this week, both Mark Henry and Jack Swagger have come back to the WWE in the recent few weeks, and they've both been dominant since returning. I would say they're the two MVPs of Elimination Chamber.
To go with you on that.
Which one do you think has come back and you like? Which one's had the better comeback in your opinion, Mark Henry or Jack Swagger? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on our Facebook, put it down on our Twitter, put it down where?
Down there.
Right down there in the comments, and we'll talk about what we think on the subject next week. Now, coming off that, back to the show, we had Vicky Guerrero bringing out Paul Heyman because she wanted to talk to him in the ring, which led to Vicky has Brad Maddox as an assistant now, which brought Vincent Kennedy McMahon on the screen, who challenges Paul Heyman to a fight next week.
It's just a waste of 15 minutes of your life right here.
I don't want to see a Paul Heyman Vince McMahon fight. You got a guy that's only ever been in comedy matches in Paul Heyman, and a guy that's just, a month away from hip surgery in Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see it. It's going to be crap. There's going to be some kind of schmoz where either Brock attacks the Vince again, or the Shield attacks Vince, or Triple H comes and attacks Heyman, or something.
It was just a waste of time. I think that next week is going to be the week that we're waiting to see. We're going to wait to see the return of Triple H. Hopefully, the return of Taker. If not, so be it.
This was a paper. This is a night every year.
It usually is.
After Elimination Chamber, you hear the gong, and Taker comes back, and he didn't. And the rumors are that he's not going to he may not come back for WrestleMania, which, to me, I'm going to buy the pay-per-view either, but he's a tremendous draw to WrestleMania. I think it will hurt some of the buy rate, because people do want to see the streak. People enjoy the Taker. He's a lot of people's favorite wrestler.
I mean, what do you think would be bigger for Punk right now? If he got involved and made the main event a triple threat, or beating the streak?
Beating the streak's the biggest thing that anybody could do.
Oh, of course. I mean, because no one else has done it.
No one else will do it. There'll never be another 20-0 streak. So
no.
There'll never be another chance like this. That's like saying the Bruno Sammartino run. There's never going to be another run as impressive.
So would you say that if Punk could, after the run he had, and if he could beat the streak, would he be the number one in the company?
I mean, I think he is already. I think they're fooling themselves thinking that somebody else is. He's the top heel in the company by far. And, I mean, I think it's foolish that anybody else would even be considered that, even though we got the golden boy, the Boy Scout Cena.
I think if they let Punk beat the streak, then they have to open up their eyes. That's just my opinion of it.
Anyway, back to the show that we were talking about. The next match we had was for the Shield versus Sheamus, Ryback, and Y2J. I thought it was an excellent match. I really liked Ambrose and Y2J's interaction during the match. I thought they worked really well together. The Shield is looking absolutely like a well-oiled machine. They reminded me of the old Minnesota Wrecking Crew, of Ole and Gene Anderson, how they would keep them in the corner and just tag in and out quick.
And wasn't Gene, speaking of the finish of the match, didn't Gene always use the knee to the head off the rope?
But it wasn't running knee, it wasn't off the top rope. But I get what you're saying. I hear you.
I like the finish of the match.
The jumping knee with Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
The only thing that I didn't like about this match was Y2J took the clean pin. I think it should have been Sheamus. He would have been the least hurt. Ryback has been taking too many losses. I didn't like that he took the loss at the pay-per-view. It could have easily went to Sheamus or Cena and not hurt their character, where I think Ryback is losing steam as we go along, and he's someone that they could have had built up as a major force. But that's just personal preference.
Now, speaking of someone that was built up and now is all the way down at the bottom of the barrel, we had Kofi Kingston versus Damian Sandow.
If you call it a match, Sandow just came out, thrashed Kofi. Basically, it's set up for R-Truth to come back, and R-Truth and Sandow wrestle around for a little bit, which I think they're going to set up Sandow versus R-Truth for the WrestleMania pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But, I thought, their interaction was good. I liked the way they brought Truth back. It made a lot of sense that he would be saving his friend.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of friends, we had Randy Orton versus Kane. two guys that aren't friends. But Kane asked his friend, Daniel Bryan, to stay in the back during the match. Well, come through the match, Kane and Orton are wrestling. Bryan comes out, distracts Kane. Kane gets the RKO.
Yeah. These losses are kind of destroying Kane's character, I think. I know it's building
I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts him at all.
I don't know. I like Orton called him Barney before because he's just losing the hard edge that he had before.
I don't think it hurts. I think Kane is Kane. He's always going to be Kane. He's always going to be someone that don't matter if they win or lose anymore. Kind of like, in my opinion, kind of like a Macho Man Randy Savage. Macho Man could lose 50 matches in a row, and he's still the Macho Man.
Yeah, and Kane's one of the most dominant big men in the business.
Yeah, exactly. So, now, coming off of that, we had the main event segment, which was the Rock celebration. Now, there were a few things I really liked about this. The Rock coming out with the marching band, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was cool. I liked the touch. I thought it was interesting. I liked when The Rock came to the ring, talked about John Cena and the spinner belt, which he holds up the belt and goes, the belt should never do this. It actually hasn't spun in a while.
Yeah.
But we get the point. The belt looked ridiculous. It has looked ridiculous for years. And he brings out a new WWE Championship, which is better, but just slightly.
Yes.
To me, it doesn't look like a championship. Again, it looks like a belt that somebody could create on Belt Creator on WWE 13.
Exactly. It looks like a bastard United States title. You know, it's just the same design. I'm not a big fan of it. Sorry. I mean, but I do like it better than a spinner belt. Anything's better than a spinner belt. Don't get me wrong.
To me, the WWE Championship has to have an eagle on it.
Almost all of them have had it.
Yeah.
You know, even the spinner had the eagle wings on it.
No, it had an eagle resting on the top. And, you know, that's the thing. The eagle belt, you think of the Hulk Hogan with the giant one.
The Shawn Michaels one.
Even the one that Triple H and Austin traded back and forth, the circular one, had an eagle on it. Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart wore one with, that's the one with the most the eagle you see the best.
Yeah.
Even the belt they special made for Andre had an eagle on it. I mean, to me, that's, I know it's nitpicking, and to me, the whole black background takes away from it. A gold belt should be gold, like this, see, gold. You know, the belt that Alberto Del Rio has, gold.
Well, they could have put some designs in it behind the WWE. If they would have put little golden WWE symbols behind it, it would have been fine. There you go. Hey, they should have hired me to design it. You know who I heard they had designed that, right? You know who?
It was the same guy that does the Ring of Honor.
You know, the main guy, though, was Paul Tuttle Sr.
Really?
Yeah.
From West Coast Chapter?
Exactly.
Or Orange County Chapters?
Exactly.
Huh.
Didn't know that. Yeah, I saw it online, and I was like, really? This looks blinged out. It looks like a rapper's neck chain. I'm sorry. It sounds messed up.
The spinner belt looked worse, but this...
Exactly.
you know, it is what it is.
It's like having an old car with a broken air conditioner and buying a new car that doesn't have an air conditioner in it. You know, it's a little bit better, but the same.
Exactly. But basically, now before we wrap this up, we introduced something on our TNA show about a week and a half, our last two TNA shows, and we were going to do it on our WWE show last week, but we didn't. We have a new rating system. If you like us on Facebook, we put it up there. And basically, we go 1 to 5 as a scale, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. A number 1 is a John Cena, a number 2 is a Big Show, 3 is a Sheamus, 4 is a Daniel Bryan, and 5 is CM Punk. Now, out of our new rating system, what would you rate this, Gary?
A 3, a Sheamus, a Sheamus.
I'm going to agree with you and go with a Sheamus. It left a lot to be desired on this show. It seemed a lot of rush. There was some good. I liked the Swagger Daniel Bryan, the Swagger State of the Union. I did like the new belt. A couple other things I did like on there. Ziggler versus Del Rio I liked. Other than that, kind of a ho-hum show.
I'm disappointed because this episode should be the second biggest episode of the year. Biggest episode of Raw of the year is the episode right after Raw, or right after WrestleMania, and this one here is to lead you right into WrestleMania.
Exactly.
And it was a big failure to me. But I did enjoy a lot of the things that happened, that's why I gave it 3.
Exactly. It's a middle of the road show, and you know that's what I say about it. But basically, that's all I gotta say. Is there anything you need to add?
That's it for me.
Well, my name is George Coles,
I'm Gary Rhodes.
and this has been Heel Heat.